Tonglen, mental feng shui. Now, here I'm going to give you a little bit more detail about the Tonglen practice. And we'll start with an example that's kind of easy to understand. Let's say I see a small puppy or a child being hurt or suffering. It's quite natural for my heart to go out to such an innocent creature. I'm, of course, instantly compassionate. I wish I could lessen the suffering and take that small creature in my arms, a little puppy, and hold it and give it comfort. Tonglen is like this. We recognize and mentally take on the suffering or pain wherever we find it. I mean, it's a reaction we have, something we see in the world. We react to what we see in the world. We take that in and we send back whatever, all that we have that might be comforting and kind. As mentioned, our heart goes out in these situations. And this is just the process. And while it's easier to imagine with something like a hurt puppy, the same transaction can be practiced with all who suffer, including our enemies, people we hate. And this is what Tonglen is really about. Regardless of whether the object is a cute little puppy or a gnarly old what have you, all beings are deserving of compassion, and even more so, so I'm told, if they are mean and hurtful. Somewhere in there, there's someone who is suffering. And while learning to have compassion, wherever suffering is found is where Tonglen, kind of shines. It can have other practical uses throughout our life each day. It's easy to see where we would have compassion for a hurt child or a puppy, but perhaps less easy to see where we ourselves are constantly hurt, often by our own biases and our own prejudices. It can be as obvious as the not-so-friendly coworker we suddenly meet as we round an office corner. There they are. What's our reaction? Well, you know what it is. There's nothing kind about it, and we tend to react with dislike. Or maybe it's just fear of the unknown. It can be painful when we know someone has singled us out and made a point of not liking us. When they suddenly appear, somewhere in our day, sometimes the tendency is to shrink back and to throw up our defenses. Am I right? I mean, use your own words here. Tonglen would have us do just the reverse from reacting in fear or dislike. Rather, we should open up, take in all that we fear or loathe, breathe it in and absorb it, and then send back out whatever we can manage, within us that's kind or open in return. It would seem that we're being, somehow vulnerable if we do so. But in fact, it's we who become stronger through the process. This is just what Tonglen is all about. This is mind training, folks. Our prejudices and biases define the boundary, the edge between what we consider safe, like ourself, and everything other to the self, everything outside ourselves. When we do Tonglen in a situation, we are gradually moving those boundaries, just like field markers on a football field. We're moving those boundaries so that they are more inclusive, more embracing of others. In other words, what was once outside ourselves that we considered other is slowly weakening and eventually vanishes, becoming a known part of us. We know it now. We've made friends with the other parts of ourselves. We have become more inclusive. Now, Tonglen is exactly the opposite of being divisive or polarizing. In fact, it weakens and breaks down duality rather than strengthening it. Instead of reinforcing fear and hatred, Tonglen gradually removes the otherness out there, the unknown, the feared, and reclassifies it as known, as part of ourselves that we now know. So we're making friends with ourselves through the practice of Tonglen. Now, one question that comes up is, are the others that we're doing Tonglen for and with, are they helped by our action? I really don't know. They certainly are not hurt by it. And the fact that it makes us a friendlier and more compassionate being can't help but be useful to all who have to come to know us in this world. So I would say yes, it is helpful to others as well as to us. So let me summarize. Many of us are busy, most of us. We don't manage to find enough time, not enough time for, as much time for sitting meditation as we would like. And we know we probably haven't done enough. And we're not, since most of us are beginners, we haven't done enough meditation yet to begin to reap the rewards of doing so. I mean, sitting meditation takes time until a habit is formed that can really be of use to us. However, Tonglen is something we can do at any time, anywhere. It doesn't take long, and we don't have to interrupt whatever else we're doing. And the best of all, it just works. Tonglen need not only be a somewhat drawn-out affair with lots of breathing in and breathing out. We only do Tonglen until we feel that we have weakened or neutralized and otherwise softened the duality that we're experiencing. I mean, like, the us and the them of it, until we make friends with that other part of ourselves. But Tonglen can also be used for smaller and smaller events like, winces, grimaces, and so on. Whatever we come across in a moment that provokes us. In fact, Tonglen is like mental Feng-Shui, in that when we encounter something that disturbs or upsets us, we change its location from outside our personal mandala, our self, to within our mandala. Tonglen allows us to rearrange ourself, just as Feng Shui lets us rearrange our home.